What's going on, everybody? John out here with you. It is that time again. It's time for a 2022 year in review. This is on New Year's Eve. Is that correct to say on that side? Look, I know that many people may not ever click on this video, or many people may not ever listen to what I post on, especially when it goes on the Hopeful Sports Guy side. But this is always the year-end tradition where I go everything that happened throughout the year, kind of make it a quick retrospective. I usually don't keep these longer than like 25 minutes or so unless there's things I have to go over with. But there will be some things that I'll have to go over with on this time. There's been a lot of big events. We can talk a lot about the way 2022 has gone for a lot of you and even for myself. There's been a lot of things that I wish that were different. 2022 was not a great year for all of us. But let me go ahead and highlight some of the best ones here for me and say thank you to all of you throughout the way. So to open this 2022, there was an app that I used. I know that it's been around for a while, but now because it's got close to the end of the year, it's been moved into something else, and Colorcast is no longer with us. That's where there was highlights there between Patrick Rush, Cap No Cap, Lily, many other people that used it like that that have always been around there. You know, Zach from the very beginning, right? So I'll go in there. I started doing some play-by-play. I started with basketball stuff a long time ago, and a lot of you guys know, and I talked about this during my Oakland University days, that working with Mark Champion, who does the Pistons now, he used to do the Lions and things like that. You know, I was very rough around the edges. Need to do a lot of work on that, figure things out. Figured I'd get a lot of practice. Did a lot of that stuff by myself during the Xbox 360 days in NBA League Pass, and then worked in the NHL, worked some MLB games this year, been able to do some college things, so I was able to build a lot and have a lot of fun with that using that app and meeting some different people. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. Between all the stuff that I've done, I haven't stayed in touch with everybody, and everybody has their own little cliques. I get that, but it's one of those situations for me. Starting the year, I started Hopeless Sports Guy. It used to be Sports Day in the D. I had that for a while, but I figured the Hopeless Sports Guy, I'll put it on WordPress. I'll put all my other stuff on there with all the other broadcasts on the radio side, give the articles, and I'm going to get back to the journalism stuff. Yes, I stayed probably a little bit grounded on my butt, maybe for like a year and a half too long when I wasn't doing all those other kind of things, trying to go away from my medium to go ahead and find work and things like that. Still haven't been able to find too much consistent work here and there, but I'll get into that in the future part of this. But you know what? I went back to what I wanted to do. I went back to my roots, the journalism roots from where I started at the Oakland Press, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I've built a lot of different broadcasts that I normally wouldn't do. Like I said, it was just NBA, and now it's pretty much everything else. I haven't branched out to NFL yet. I'd like to do some. I haven't even tried a soccer game. I'd like to do some, but we'll figure out how that ends up going. So in between everyone else at the Oakland Press side, who I'm always very thankful for, and I mentioned, you know, between Jeff Kanan, Jeff Dulac, Dan Fenner, Dan Talent, Keith, Matt, Marv, everyone else, everybody's names out there, Jeff Kuhn and all that. I know I haven't stayed in touch with all of you guys as well, but you know, I still consider you all great friends and things like that, even though it's just sometimes it's a text from like a Merry Christmas or whatever else and things like that. But I'm always thinking of you and I'm wondering how you guys are doing. And in the sense of building up some other friends and things like that, this is what I want to talk about. So I know he may or may not hear this, but Cooper Hopkins, he knows his name well. He knows that we've worked together for a long time now, from the start of January. And look, I'll give you the quick story here. And I've said this throughout the Stanley Cup Finals if you listen to our broadcast, but I'll put this in my referendum as far as the rest of the year. So with Cooper Hopkins on the Colorcast app, you know, look, I go ahead and do these broadcasts. I don't see a lot of people doing NHL broadcasts. He happens to go in, and I think it was at the time, it was Calgary Flames, which was his team. They were playing the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm thinking, all right, he's doing a broadcast by himself. We're going to see how he sounds. Because if you're doing an NHL broadcast, you're probably pretty good. That's my back end thinking of it. And I know I was doing stuff downstairs, doing things around the house or whatever. And then I go around and look and see it's a second period. And then I've stayed all the way through the end of it. I'm trying to flood his comment section and thinking, man, we got to work together because this guy is just incredible at what he does in the play-by-play side, color side that he's helped me out. He's just an incredible human being too. On top of that, which is always really cool, really good. And you know what? It's from messages back and forth to like sending emails and things like that. Well, I figured the only way it's going to end up working, I might have to get to the point of pestering, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to make an Instagram account. I can't use my own name because someone ended up taking that, so I had to use a gamer tag. Finally got a hold of him on the Instagram account. And when we started working and we did a game, it was just instant chemistry, instant connection on that side of it. And I couldn't be any more blessed. And between my complete work highlight of the year, I'll keep it to you honest and simple like this. I did a lot of stuff during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we would bounce off and do some games like that. But we got pretty much all of the games in the Stanley Cup final, with the aforementioned game where the Colorado Avalanche pretty much got like a 7-0 shutout of Tampa in Game 2. We didn't do that one. That was just myself. But every other game that we ended up doing throughout the whole thing, I couldn't ask for a better broadcast partner. Between doing the play-by-play, doing the color, talking, trying to bounce things back and forth, I won't say this lightly, and I know how it is. Be 35 years old. A lot of us are getting older nowadays, and being born in '87 and things like that. Your social circle and everything else as you get older definitely does get smaller. There's no doubt about that. But throughout everything, whether or not he's going to tell you, and I'll tell you this right now, I consider Cooper Hopkins like my best friend. I know that there's people that say you can only have one best friend, this and that. I've known Nick for a long time and things like that. He's one of my best friends. He's been a lot earlier, but now Cooper Hopkins on that side of it, I definitely welcome with a best friend, and I would, if I ever met him, I'd give him a hug and a handshake and all that. I know he bounces between all over the state, and I'm stuck here in Michigan, and we're thousands of miles away, but humbly appreciate everything that he's helped me accomplish throughout the year. I know we always exchange pleasantries of each other, but I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do without working alongside him. And that's made the broadcast and everything else in such a better light when we end up working together. As much as we probably like hearing the sound of our own voices from time to time, when we join up and be able to give that coverage, look, I know we're not professionals, but we care about what we do at the end of the day. And I think that's ultimately the most important thing to get out of everything. And I couldn't ask for a better partner, and that was one of the best things that ended up happening. That was honestly my favorite thing of the year, covering that Stanley Cup Finals. So I need to get to this portion of it, and this might zip along a lot faster than I expected. But a darker portion, as we're going to go to a little bit of the windy and rainy part of it. So Lauren and myself, and I'm not going to keep things with details and all that out of respect for her. I know she doesn't look at all these videos and things like that, and there's a lot of different situations of why she cannot anymore. So her and I both had COVID this year for the first time. She had it probably around the summertime. I just got over it myself. And I'm going to tell you this. I know she's got, 4 shots? I think I got 3. I got 3, she's got 4. And it is no picnic. Anyone that's out there that's telling you it's nothing more than a common cold, I don't believe any of that. I understand what you guys are saying in the sense of you will get over it, you will recover if you're young enough, you're good in shape, you take care of yourself, you're going to be fine. Be that as it may, I went through every single symptom except for vomiting and fever. I mean, like, that's pretty much the only thing I didn't have, which was the stuff that you can safely, stay home and recover with. That's why you end up getting these shots. So for anyone else, I'm not going to try to throw out there a PSA. Please take care of yourself. The reason why you end up getting these kinds of shots, look, we understand that there is no be-all, end-all of COVID. You get it, and it sucks. And there's a lot of different variants and things out there. The reason why you end up getting one of those shots in the arm is so you can safely recover at home when you do get it, because you're going to end up getting it. I mean, look, we've had every single situation in between my house, everywhere else that I go. People got to work over here, mom, stepdad, things like that, myself. Look, and get all that. We're all doing things. You're going to get it in the house at some point. It's going to happen. But when you're able to safely recover yourself and not have to deal with any other issues like that are long-standing, that's what it's all about. So take care of yourself. Be very careful about what you're doing. That's just what I'm going to throw out there for that side. It's recoverable, but it's not fun. And for me, again, this is day 19. I'm finally free for symptoms, and I was thinking at the very end of the year I'll be back to where I'll be at 100%, and that's kind of where I feel right now. Although I'm not trying to yell and scream in this video because you got to preserve everything here for the actual New Year's Eve later night when I finally get to spend some time with her again, which would be nice. It's been about 3.5 weeks. So take care of yourself, be safe, and if something does happen, then be thankful that you can recover at home. And again, you might want to rush into work maybe 4 or 5 days or things like that. Like, it's going to be in your system at least for like 2.5 weeks. So make sure you monitor yourself and know how you feel. A couple things I want to mention here toward the end of it. I know it was close toward the end of the year. So I just started an MIHL assignment, and I'm very thankful to John Stonehouse, who used to go to high school with together at Waterford Kettering. It's been a long time. And in the sense of the Waterford Sharks too, look, it's just Lakeland Ice Arena. It's not that far from my house in the sense of, look, I post all this stuff on there, doing some work here with Cooper when we can ever get all these games in. And John goes and listens and says, hey, do you want to do some play-by-play for the Waterford Sharks and handle home play-by-play? I said, hell yeah, I want to jump on board. So yeah, it's only the home games. So the first game that ended up happening, we had some camera issues with the internet. I got sent back home and I ended up having to do a standard assignment there because I was too jacked up. Second week, ended up working together, and the third one just now, it was COVID. So, I would say I wasn't feeling well. Obviously, I'm taking the test. I didn't want to go in there and rush it and get everyone else sick before the Christmas break. So we missed out on one with no internet, missed out on one because I got COVID. So now from the February side, when the team comes back from the 5-game road stand, I will be here in totality for the rest of the year. So it's going to be, I think, the next 6 out of 11 assignments are all going to be at Lakeland. So I'll have 6 more chances to be able to do that. Hopefully playoffs and everything else as well, depending on where that is going to be played. We'll figure that out when it gets to it. So I want to say thank you to the Waterford Sharks for thinking of me, John Stonehouse, the team, and everyone else to give me a shot to be able to do some of this stuff for MIHL, because it's been a long time. I've been working at this stuff for a long time, and I'm no expert, like I said. But my appreciation and humbleness and everything else and everyone else around me, that's not to toot my own horn. That's just how you got to be. I mean, whatever, if I'm going to jump at the opportunity that I could not jump at, and I want to mention this toward the end, was just the Oxford benefit that was at Detroit Skate Club at Bloomfield Hills. I know he reached out toward the other day and said around like 9 a.m., can you join and be MC announcer for the event? I would have loved to. Honestly, I was just coming over all the stuff with the sickness, and everybody understands I didn't want to push all that stuff because I wanted to be safe for later tonight. But in the sense of too, I know that it's going to be, it was jam packed. I'm sure it was wonderful. You had Sheriff Burchard there. You had hopefully the families and everyone else that was in there in the unfortunate school shooting that we had last year at Oxford. So I'm sure there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I would have loved to have been there to do that benefit and call that game. I hope everything else went well, and I hope that in situations like this, it was one of the most horrific things that ever happened. I know that was last year at this point, but you cannot ever forget things like that. You always keep people in your memory. You think about all that stuff. You got to think about the people around you, even if it doesn't personally involve you. Take your time to help out and do whatever else that you can to help better your life for other people. That's why we're here. That's at least how I feel. So if I get the opportunity to do that next year, and I'm not stuck with the sickness and all that, I will definitely do that at that point. So I mentioned this, and I want to throw this out there again, just to go back to the happier times. And I just want to mention one other thing, and then we'll get back to the happier times. When I talk about the things that Lauren and I went through, again, I'll keep all the details PG, and it's not anything gross between us. But in the sense of things that happen, look, it was just over the last few weeks, and that's why I will try to keep some of this stuff private. Look, I know some things might go on the YouTube side or the Hopeful Sports Guy side, but that's just for people to see how that I'm doing and stuff for the year, just to get your thoughts and everything else in there too, and keep tabs. But her and I were dealing with the situation, especially her. She comes over to me. She had to scrub everything with the social media because she had some lunatic pretty much just sending her a bunch of messages, having to scrub everything with the social media. So while I was just going through all this COVID stuff, I was getting all these other messages. And over the span of 3 months, it started, it stopped, it started, it stopped. It was multiple accounts, 4 or 5 accounts of the same person send me messages over and over and over again about how I'm inadequate, I'm not good enough, she's done things, I've done things, blah, blah, blah. This is the girl that I'm supposed to be with. Keep in mind, I've been with Lauren for 14 years now. I started 21-18. I told you this story. She's got the engagement ring, she's got the band, she's got everything else. Look, I don't know if we're ever going to get married. I don't think we're ever going to have kids. I'm fine with that. As long as she's fine with everything, I'm fine with that. Like I said to all of you guys, it's all about the way that you want to spend time with each other. And if it works for both of you, it makes sense, then that's the way you end up doing it. I know money between all of us is going to be tight. And I can't push the issues and things like that either. So if we're both happy, what's the damn difference? But I got all of these other messages, and this guy comes out there and he'll throw some other pictures, graphic things like try to piss me off, things that try to hurt her feelings, just try to drive a wedge in between both of us. Look, people don't have anything else better to do. Those words hurt, and they hurt me, at least for a few days, even though I know that her and I standing, we're good. It doesn't matter whether or not she hates my guts for the rest of her life and wants to break up with me. I think her and I will always end up being best friends at worst, because that's just the kind of connection that her and I have. She doesn't have to be completely happy with me, and if she's not, I don't keep a leash on her. She can go ahead and do whatever the hell she wants to do, because that's how it's supposed to be. At the end of the day, she's got to be happy to be with me, and if she's not, I'm not keeping a leash on her. I'm not one of those ones that have tabs on everybody else. If I don't trust you in a relationship, we're not going to be in a relationship, and if there's no trust, there is no relationship. That's the way it works in the world, folks, and this is coming from someone that doesn't have any other experience in a relationship level except for being with her for 14 years. But I'm happy. That's the way it is, and there is nothing that somebody can do to drive a wedge in between both of us. That's just the way that I see it. But if she's not happy with me, like I told her, you can go ahead and do whatever the hell you want to do. But with all these other messages that I was getting, look, I was frankly pissed off, and I'm just going to leave it like this. I tried to reason with the person that was harassing me, the person that said, I've done things before and I've known her for 5 years. I've been on her for 14 years. I've seen her pretty much, every week or every other week and things like that. I have good standing with family, sister, things like that, good people. You could say whatever you want about me, but the fact that she's with me, we spend time together, what does that say? I must not be that inadequate. I mean, you don't just spend time with somebody for that long if you don't like being with them. So you could say whatever you want about me, you can throw all that stuff out there, but it's not going to change the fact that the things are what they are. I tried to reason with this person. I tried to get everything else together, have a nice friendly chat and say, look, if you want to have other things so bad, why not talk to her about it? Maybe that'll end up working out. If things go work out for you guys, well, then that's fine. I'm fine. I can move on. But if you want to go ahead and try to find yourself a better situation, then how about be a better person? It's as simple as that. So that was my situation that had gone on with some of the harassment and things like that. And I know people have asked me, maybe if I should go ahead, and I'll be honest with you. I'll just say this is an assessment. This isn't to hurt Lauren's feelings. I'm just going to be honest. I thought about situations, and people thought about situations of what it was like if they were with someone else. I had a situation around my birthday where, this is the funny story, I ended up picking up a game like around sometime around my mom's work or something like that in March. I think it was in a Target somewhere over there. And I saw this girl who was incredibly interested in video games, and if Lauren's a 10, I call her a 10 all the time, and she doesn't believe that, but sometimes girls will undervalue themselves, but you're worth what you're worth, and I know what she is. This girl at the Target side that I'm talking about that like video games she wasn't a 10. She didn't have to be. Like the numbers before then, all the other interests probably put her close to like a 12, 13. I'm serious. Like this girl was a stone cold knockout on top of that. And I'm thinking, man, I would be in so much trouble. I would be in so much trouble if I tried to pull the trigger on that. And I really wanted to, because it's nice to have friends. It doesn't mean you have to do anything with that, but someone to game with and have interest with and have fun and talk to, that would be really cool. But I think that was a situation where the ammunition would be a little bit too hot to handle, so I ended up going against it. But I still think about that stuff from time to time, just like I'm sure Lauren thinks about things from time to time. We're happy together, but there's no crime in looking, I'll tell you that. You got to make sure you look, you got to make sure you're wanted, and keep yourself up to date, and keep maintenance on yourself, because it's important. When you get complacent in certain times in your life, your looks, your relationship, work, things like that, that's when you get in trouble. So don't get complacent, do the best you can, and never hurts to look around and things. It's free to look, but everything else that comes with a price. Her and I have been through some serious problems, and she knows that she has given herself a strike. And if that strike happens again, she doesn't get 3 strikes. I'm out. Sometimes you have to have some confidence in yourself, and you can't just get walked all over. I know that. She's got the 1 strike. I don't have any yet. I don't go ahead and plan on giving myself 1. My dad went through that situation, not my stepdad. My dad went through that situation with my mom when she was trying to take care of me and all that. And my dad's not a good person when it comes to relationships and things like that. So when it came to me to think about all those things, I wasn't going to be that type of person. You treat the people that you want with respect, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's how it's going to stay. And if you don't have trust in a relationship, you don't have much of anything. So this is where I'll close out the rest of it. So when I talk about Cooper Hopkins and I talk about a best friend, I mean that wholeheartedly. So when I think about the end of this month and then I go into the new year, it's going to be a little bit pricey, but I know toward like January 10th or something like that, there's going to be a certain jersey that's going to be shipped to my house. And yes, I paid it, of course, and he's going to get his check and everything else in the mail. So you might see me with the Seattle Kraken Matty Beniers on on the back of it. He travels in between Washington and California and things like that. And he ended up being at the Seattle Kraken shop. He's visiting friends and family. I go ahead and notice. I was like, if you're going to go down to the game, snag me one of those Beniers. He's like, are you comfortable paying, what the price is going to be? And trust me, guys, for the amount of these jerseys, hopefully they'd throw in some game tickets, but they don't. We certainly don't get any cheaper prices. I said, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and get the Matty Beniers. So I'm going to have a Matty B. I'm going to ship that one and probably change that picture at the point on the Facebook side and have some fun with it as a temporary thing. So very thankful for Cooper Hopkins to even do that. And I'm going to have a Seattle jersey before he even has one. So that's pretty funny on that side. But it's not like I collect a lot of jerseys or anything else like that. But I'll be able to wear that when I go to Yost or anything else like that, or maybe even in the Michigan basketball game. I don't care. I'll be able to rock Beniers. That'd be cool. One of the better rookies that we have in the NHL right now. So thankful for Cooper Hopkins on that side. Your check's going to be in the mail there, but it's going to get shipped out tomorrow. We'll get everything squared away. Him and I are going to be working on some games very, very soon coming into the next year, and we'll get that all squared away. So what's upcoming with me? And then when we close out. So I've covered the World Juniors here for the last few games. I've had 3 games. The last one was USA and Switzerland. So I'm going to do a little write-up of Michigan football tomorrow against TCU. And then the Monday side will come back with a quarterfinal round when we finally get in the medal rounds. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I can't go ahead and give you conjecture as far as who's going to be playing who because there's too much to figure out on New Year's Eve. And I'm not going to be able to be there because obviously I'm going to spend some time with the fiance. So no games on Saturday for me to cover, but there'll be some write-ups on the end of it with the scoring tree and all that when it's said and done. So as far as next week, here's the deal. I won't be able to iron out a schedule because the times and everything else are dependent on where certain teams land in the seed, like U.S. and Canada, Germany, Sweden, things like that. So U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, Switzerland probably be the teams that end up covering on that side. So Monday is going to start the quarterfinal side, and then a semifinal Wednesday, and then the gold medal game on Thursday. The gold medal game on Thursday is the only one that I can march down as far as the time. That's going to be 6:30 p.m. on upcoming Thursday. So Monday assignment, Wednesday semifinal, and the Thursday gold medal at 6:30 Eastern. That's what I'll be doing for the week, and then Saturday will be probably a regular assignment. So if I can get Cooper Hopkins to work with me on the Thursday side at 6:30 Eastern, so 3:30 his time, so he might not be able to join me to like a third period if he can at all. That'll be the schedule. So WJC's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then once it's all done, I'll have the scoring tree with the story links that we've had inside it, and then I'll send it out. So I want to say thank you to everybody that have gone through the time and listened to this. We'll keep this actually time within the 25 minutes, so that's good. So thank you to everybody. Look, I understand that it's been a tough year for a lot of you. It's been a tough year for me in a lot of ways. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the sides to be thankful for as we go leap into 2023. Hey, it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of the Hopeless Sports Guy, and I've taken my YouTube channel, which is at John Ryan on the dev handles. I've gone from about 10 subscribers to about 65. It's a very, very slow growth, but it's been work in progress pretty much every single day. It's a 40-hour work week here at Hopeless Sports Guy. And look, I know that's not hitting the 70, 80 that a lot of you guys do, but being able to get 4 or 5 assignments a week with stories out there takes a lot of work. Being able to call all those games, do all the stories and things like that, and I do it because I love it. And I do it because I end up working with great people like Cooper Hopkins and everyone else. Alec Nava, it was fun to work with him as well. I don't keep in touch with everyone else throughout the Colorcast side in between Patrick and Lily and Zach and everyone else like that maybe we'll end up talking more in the future and things. But sometimes you end up getting the patterns where you like working with how you like working with, because sometimes people just like to BS, or sometimes people actually like to call the game. Everybody's got their own patterns. So that's why it's going to end up being. So in February, it's going to be more assignments here for the Waterford Sharks, and I'll be back on that between Will TV on YouTube with John Stonehouse and myself, as he's my cameraman and my color man as we go along between that stuff. So I'm excited to go back to the MIHL in February. But until that, next week is going to be the conclusion of the 2023 WJCs. Hopefully I get Cooper Hopkins with me on a final, and then we will go into 2023 back to the same types of things where we're going to cover all that stuff. And then when we get into the summer again, you best believe Cooper Hopkins and I are going to do the Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup playoffs throughout all that stuff. And considering I think he's gotten more comfortable between him and I both splitting play-by-play and color duties throughout each period, I'm going to have him call some of those playoff games, because he needs to have that same type of pressure and intensity that I did when I was covering all those games. And it's just a whole hell of a lot of fun because he's incredible at both sides of it. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a very safe and wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year, and I will be back before you know it. Peace, everybody.